The football world is already looking past the upcoming season toward 2027. Prospects like Arch Manning have created a level of anticipation that makes next year's draft feel like a safe haven for quarterback-needy teams. But in 2026, that safety doesn't exist. Beyond the very top of the board, the talent pool thins out almost immediately, leaving teams with a collection of prospects defined more by their limitations than their highlights. This creates a genuine crisis for NFL front offices and fantasy managers. You have immediate roster holes that need to be filled, but the market is flooded with players who would be backups in a stronger year. Because of that talent gap, investing high-end draft capital this year means accepting a fundamental compromise. You aren't drafting a franchise savior. You are deciding which specific set of flaws you can afford to manage. The draft board effectively splits into these two archetypes. You can choose the high-floor game manager who lacks explosive potential, or you can chase the high-upside athlete who struggles with basic consistency. There is no perfect prospect in this group. Successful evaluation this year requires you to strictly match a player's specific weakness to your team's exact ability to hide it. Indiana's Fernando Mendoza stands alone in this class. He is the consensus #1 overall pick, blending high-level college production with the mental traits expected from a starter. Scouts are enamored with his cognitive flexibility. Mendoza shows an uncanny ability to internalize in-game mistakes and immediately adjust his decision-making on the following drive. That mental growth peaked during the college football playoff, where he maintained a 74% completion rate while facing the fastest defenses in the country. But those numbers hide a specific technical red flag. In scouting, the sack-to-pressure ratio is a remarkably sticky metric. If you take a high number of sacks when pressured in college, you will likely do the same in the pros. This chart shows Mendoza's primary flaw. While the national average for converting pressure into a sack is about 17%, Mendoza sits at 22.5%. When defenders get close, he goes down. That becomes an environmental risk if he lands with the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas is a team coming off a season where their quarterbacks were hit 55 times, suggesting a dangerous lack of protection for a player with Mendoza's specific sack habits. Mendoza is the most pro-ready prospect available, but that sack-to-pressure ratio creates a high probability of physical wear and tear. Unless his new franchise can insulate him, his career could be defined by injuries before he ever reaches his peak. If you move past the top pick, you encounter the pitch-and-catch specialists like Carson Beck and Ty Simpson. This quadrant chart shows them deep in the safe but limited territory. Their value is in their rhythm. They process the field quickly, operate well in tight pockets, and rely on a rapid release to keep the chain-moving targets on schedule. This approach is designed to eliminate drive-killing errors. Ty Simpson's 1% interception rate is the gold standard for this archetype, prioritizing ball security above everything else. However, that safety comes with a massive schematic trade-off. They can operate a well-designed system, but they rarely have the physical tools to elevate a supporting cast that is struggling. When the primary read is taken away and they are forced into an off-script situation, the offense often crumbles. They lack the dynamic movement required to turn a broken play into a positive gain. Modern NFL defenses are built to neutralize this exact style. Coordinators will press the short options and play aggressively near the line, knowing these quarterbacks are unlikely to punish them with deep vertical shots. Choosing this archetype provides a higher probability of immediate offensive stability, but by drafting for safety, you are capping your team's vertical potential and missing the explosive production needed to compete for a title. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the erratic athletes. Players like Taylon Green and Cole Payton represent the raw physical ceiling of this class. They offer the kind of rare vertical explosiveness and rushing power that defensive coordinators actually fear. Our updated quadrant chart places them in the high upside, low safety zone. On paper, they are the most dangerous weapons in the draft, averaging massive yardage on scrambles and deep completions. But the downside can be disastrous for an offense. Taylon Green's 60% completion rate and high sack numbers indicate a player who kills as many drives with mistakes as he saves with highlights. Then there is the physical prototype, Drew Allar. At 6'5" and 230 pounds, he looks like the ideal NFL starter, possessing a massive arm and prototypical frame. The contradiction in Allar's game is his refusal to use those tools. Despite his arm strength, he threw deep on only 8% of his passes, the lowest rate of any top prospect in this class. This creates a unique coaching dilemma. You can't easily teach a quarterback to be more aggressive or to process deep field windows if they are fundamentally hesitant to pull the trigger. Investing in this group means accepting a high probability of total failure in exchange for a rare, explosive physical ceiling. You are betting that your coaching staff can fix fundamental processing issues that have plagued these players for years. The top of this draft isn't offering any prospects without significant baggage. To make a successful pick, you have to stop looking for a perfect player and start looking for the flaw you can survive. This decision tree provides the roadmap. Your strategy has to be a direct reflection of your current roster status. If you are an established contender with a loaded roster, the pitch and catch game managers are the logical fit. When you already have elite weapons and a dominant defense, you don't need your quarterback to be a superhero. You just need someone who can follow the script and keep the offense from beating itself. However, if your roster is depleted and you are searching for a franchise-altering centerpiece, you are forced to look at the erratic athletes. Rebuilding teams have the luxury of time. You can leverage a multi-year window to endure the high turnover rates, while hoping your coaching staff can eventually unlock those rare athletic tools. But if your evaluation shows that neither of these trade-offs works for your current build, there is a third option that most teams are too afraid to take. Don't settle for a flaw you can't manage. Either embrace the specific risk of the 2026 class or trade out of the premier spots and hold your capital for the elite prospects waiting in 2027.